Hey everybody, we are here with day, what day is it? Day 5 of Trovember, month-long challenge hosted by Kelly at collagelab.com. Today's prompt for hashtag Trovember is something that flies. So, something that flies. I pulled out some of my things that fly out of my basket o' goodies, and which works out perfectly since I'm kind of trying to do a nature theme with this piece. Something that flies. I think Kelly did a rocket or an airplane or something like that. But we have a couple options. So, kind of going with the same theme that I did with the leaves and the fish. I have these three images from that same biology nature book or whatever. And so there are obviously things that fly on this big thing, this big piece. There's some ducks and birds and all that. I'm not feeling it though. Then we have this, which is 3 little pictures of 3 birds and their nests that we could work with. And then we have another little bee that kind of matches the bee that we have. Where are you guys at? The bee that we have down here. So, yeah. I'm just really not feeling those. So, they're options, but we're just not feeling it. I also have some scraps of some butterflies. I think these were in amongst some printouts that Cindy at Studio Lou did on her Patreon. So really pretty butterflies and moths that I could fussy cut out. I kind of like that there's a little bit of color with these. So I'm debating seriously on those. Then I have this little snippet of 3 moths, and we could just put it down as 3 moths, or we could fussy cut them. You know, the trick with fussy cutting butterflies and moths is their dang antennas. You got to figure out what to do about those. So that's always a trick when it comes to that. I'm not really feeling this guy either. He's kind of fades into the background. He's kind of monotone. And then we have this guy, this funny, lovely little owl, that if we wanted to make him let me just kind of quickly trim around him. I just think he's the funniest, cutest little thing. And he could easily become the focal point of this piece. What do you think? He's so funny. Of course, he'd have to come down here, you know. He'd have to be at the bottom somewhere. But then my thought process is that if he's the focal point, then honestly, that I'm kind of thrown. I know we're still so early in the piece that it's kind of hard to tell, but if he becomes my focal point, then what happens with the fish in the background? They're kind of just like, don't belong. I just don't know. And then we have, like I said, these butterflies, which would add a little pop of color. But at some point, I feel like I'm going to need a focal point. And if you'll recall from, if you saw the other 2 pieces, the first one I did, I had kind of 2 focal points. I had the octopus on one side, and then I had the hands holding something on the other side. So I kind of had 2 focal points going on that piece. with last year's focal point, I had a big picture of a young girl with, you know, was the main focal point of the piece. There was some poetry and all that, but she was the main focal point of that piece. So I kind of, because I like him and because we're doing nature and because he's so silly, I'm kind of really leaning towards this guy. If we fussy cut him out and use him as our main focal point, I think that's what I want to do. I just think he's just so silly. He's looking upside down. I mean, to whoever captured this photo of this owl is chef's kiss. They did a great job. Great little job. And I think he's going to even look even cuter when I get him all cut out. That's just my thought on him. I just think he's cute. I feel like if I do the little butterflies, I'm still going to be kind of building on a background. And I don't want at the end to really not have a focal point. It's just the way I do collage and art and all that. And so I don't remember at what point, like last year, at what point the girl became the focal point. But on that piece. But, you know, and there's a part of me that feels like it's still a little early to be picking a focal point. But then again, I'm also like, okay, we go ahead and establish our main point of this piece being the silly looking owl, and we can just kind of build on him and work around him throughout the piece is kind of my thought process now. Kind of where I'm at with it now. And I don't know, I don't do a lot of fussy cutting on camera, but I have a bit of a weird method to fussy cutting. I just kind of go with it. Some people start at one end and work their way all around the image, but I don't. Like, I'll tend to like curve off here and trim it off, and then I'll start somewhere else. And, you know, it just kind of, it's like I've still got this part to cut. It's just kind of the way I cut. So some people will start at one point and go all the way around. I've got my laundry going in the background. It's Sunday. Today's laundry day. Weather's nice and wonderful and perfect, and so we have the doors and windows open. So you may occasionally hear an airplane fly by because I live near the airport. A small airport. And you may occasionally hear my neighbors chit-chatting around. So, just a little disclaimer. I had company in town this weekend. Didn't work too much on journals. I'm finishing up a journal that my friend Mary Ellen and we agreed to exchange journals for Defember coming up in December. It's the December challenge. Okay, so now we know that my phone will just cut off videoing if I get a phone call. Sorry about that. Anyways, we got the little owl cut out, and what I was saying is Defember is the December challenge coming up. It's all over the YouTubes. And anyways, my friend Mary Ellen and I decided to exchange a journal to work in that. And so I've got that finished up, and I'm finishing up one more one more journal. It's a custom order that's not due till around the 1st of December or so. So I'm finishing up that, and let me grab my brush. It's over on the counter. I don't really know where I was going with that story, but you know, randomness. So that's just what I'm doing. I'm working on a journal, and there you have it. I'm working on it's an order that is due the 1st of December, so got a little ways, but I'm pretty much almost done with it. So, oh look, we have a hummingbird on the back side we could have used, but we couldn't turn down the owl. He's too cute. I almost feel like he needs a name. So, anybody have a suggestion for a name for this lovely little dude? I'm open to suggestions. Because he will officially be the main focal point of this piece, whether we like it or not. I'm just gluing him off to the side here. I'm picking the glue off my paddle, and I told you you'd occasionally hear my neighbors. Anyways, any suggestions for the name for this guy, he's going to be the main character of the show. I have a feeling. Of course, I have no idea what the rest of this month will bring, but scoot over a little bit. I don't want to completely cover up what I've been doing. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Oh, so I think I was saying I had some company in town this weekend, and so I didn't really work on journals much, and so I just thought I would jump on here and do some Trovember, and then I'll spend the rest of the afternoon kind of working on and hopefully finish up that one journal that I got going on. Coming up this month, I have 2 different events, holiday market events. I'll still be here doing Trovember, but so I'm going to spend next weekend, I believe, kind of making sure I'm good to go with them, making sure everything's priced and ready to go and all that good stuff. And yeah, November and December are shaping up to be a little busy for me. I'm okay with that. I'm doing some Mod Podge. I'm going to cover him completely with some Mod Podge. I glued him down with the Weld Bond. I don't like that you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it, but the uneven texture because of the background pieces are like a cardstock. But we're just going with it. Probably should have grabbed my bigger brush, but I mainly just want to touch the edges. Kind of get a good seal so none of his feathers decide to flap up on us. Get a good seal on his side feathers and all that, and then we'll get a good coat on him. I just really love this guy. I think he's so fun. Anyway, I think it's kind of the, I'm a bit of a nature fan. I like to be outside. I like to pay attention to nature when I see things in the wild, you know, that kind of stuff. I appreciate that kind of stuff. I take a moment to enjoy it. And, you know, if there's deer walking by or something of that nature, you know, a bunch of birds flying over or something like that. I pay attention to that kind of stuff. Even though I've lived in Arkansas all my life and we see that kind of stuff all the time, I still pay attention to it. But to me, this to me is the silliness of nature. The natural part of nature, I guess, is one way to say it. I just think, like I said, he's just too funny, being silly little guy. And I just can't imagine the scenario of what was taking place for the cameraman to capture this owl. You know, what do you think? Did the cameraman make a noise? And, you know, like cats and dogs, or dogs mainly, but kind of tilt their head when they hear a funny sound or something. Was it one of those kind of situations where the photographer made a funny noise and the owl, you know, I don't know. I'm just rambling at the current moment. Adding a good layer of Mod Podge. No rhyme or reason to it. Just to get a good seal down. Get him stuck. You don't start wobbling away on me. So, that's what we have. We're going to go with this for day 5 of hashtag Trovember. The idea behind it is to use up your stash, to dig around and play around in your treasure trove of art supplies and art goodies, and for us collage artists to play around with pieces that we have, and you know, that's kind of the way I see it. So that's where we're at. What else can I say? I think that's it. I assume this is going to have to be in 2 parts because I had that phone call that interrupted, and I don't edit, so I don't know how to make them smoosh together. If I can figure it out, I'm sure it's quote unquote real easy. Just do this, you know, that kind of thing. If I can figure it out, I'll smoosh them together. But if not, you'll see this in 2 parts. So that's just the way it's going to have to be. Anyways, I'll close this up for now. Day 5, hashtag Trovember, something that flies. And we put our little friend here, the owl, just because I think he's just too cute. Let me see if I can zoom out so you guys can, well, I mean, I guess I can see how big he is. He takes up about, you know, half the board, so. But I like it. I like it a lot. I think he's cute, so that's what we're going with. Anyways, day 6 tomorrow, I'll be back with whatever the prompt is. You know, that's the fun of Trovember. We don't know what the prompts are until that day, so, yeah. If you're doing Trovember, be sure and hashtag it so we can see what you're doing. If you're not and you're interested, check out collagelab.com. Sign up for it. You can easily get caught up. They're super simple prompts and super simple, you know, to add to this one piece. So check it out and join in on the fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.